How to remove a stuck diesel fuel injector. Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Before we get into things, make sure you hit that like button. It really does help me out and it shows your appreciation. Now then, right now I'm just working on a BMW X5 with the 3-litre M57 diesel engine. Now I'm doing a job which involves me removing the rocker cover, and to remove the rocker cover I'm going to have to remove the injectors. Now if your diesel injectors have not been removed for a good amount of time, there is a good chance that they will become stuck. Now this video isn't specific to BMW. What I'm about to show you should work on pretty much any diesel engine out there. But first and foremost, what you're going to want to do is gain access to the fuel injectors themselves. So you will have some high pressure fuel pipes. You're going to want to completely remove them. They should be held in by a 17mm nut. The high pressure fuel pipes will look something a little like this. Just completely loosen them off and remove them away from the engine. And then the injectors themselves will more than likely be held in with a clamp. So if you have a look at this injector here on cylinder number 1, it's held in by this clamp here. Now that clamp itself will usually be held in by either 1 or 2 nuts. In our case they are held in by 8mm nuts. So I have already went ahead and removed those. And now the injector itself should be free. It should just pull out, but as we can see, this is pretty stuck in there. And it's pretty much the same for all of the injectors. And so how do we get them removed then? Well, there is a couple of methods that you could use. You could try and lever the injector out, but then you do risk causing damage not only to the injector itself, but you could damage the plastic part, the electrical connector here. So I would advise against levering these out. You could try and reinstall the high pressure fuel line back onto the injector and use this as leverage to try and pull it out. Or you could try a method that never fails, and that is with the use of a slide hammer. You may be looking at this thinking, this is a bit small, isn't it? Well, this is actually a homemade slide hammer. Essentially, it's just a piece of aluminium with a bolt and a washer on, and then just a steel weight to act as the impact to drive the injector itself out. Now, you're going to want a slide hammer with the correct thread diameter and pitch to go over the top of the injector itself. If it is a Bosch diesel fuel injector, then the threads will pretty much always be the same. So if you can find a universal kit, it'll more than likely fit one of these type fuel injectors. Now before I show you removing one of the fuel injectors, why do the injectors themselves get stuck? Now there's a couple of reasons. The main reason, the most common reason why these get stuck is rust. Now as you can see, there's quite a bit of rust and crud around the top here. This is usually from water. Yes, water sitting on top of the rocker cover. It slowly makes its way down into the injector wells and then sits in here. It then rusts and it makes the injector itself difficult to remove. Another reason why these can get stuck is actually carbon around the injector tip itself. Now there is a risk when you remove this that the injector tip can get damaged, or in some cases actually break off. So you do want to try and be as careful as possible and really just take your time when trying to remove one of these things. Now then, let me show you removing one of the fuel injectors themselves with my handy homemade slide hammer. As you can see, the slide hammer itself just winds onto the threads on top of the injector. Don't need to be tight, just needs to have enough threads engaged. And then we use this weight as our impacting force to knock the injector out. And I can already see this thing is moving. And there we are. And this one is in pretty rough shape actually. Just look at the amount of junk on this one. That's exactly why these get stuck. Now all we need to do is wind the slide hammer itself off of the injector. Put the injector to one side, and of course repeat for the others. So as we can see then, all 6 injectors are now removed. Important thing to remember though, if these copper washers do not come out with the injectors, you will need to fish them out from the injector wells themselves. You can simply do this by just using a pick tool, put it down there, scoop it out, and then when you reinstall the injectors, of course clean the injectors themselves, but also install a new copper washer. This is very, very important, otherwise you're going to have leaking fuel injectors. Oh, it's also important before you install the injectors back themselves to make sure that you reseat them properly. So you need to get a reamer tool and clean the bottom of the seat. Make sure there's no carbon, otherwise they will not sit properly, and again you'll have a fuel leak past the injectors. I actually have a full video on this. I believe it's called how to reseat diesel fuel injectors and prevent black death. If you know what black death is, essentially it's when diesel flows past the injectors themselves and ends up in a not a very nice mess on top of your rocker cover. Okay then, so there you go. That is how you remove stuck diesel fuel injectors. I hope this video has been helpful. If you are thinking of doing this job yourself, then don't worry, just have a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. It does help to have the right tools as well. I would highly recommend either making up or investing in a good slide hammer and make the job 10 times easier. And of course, when it comes to reinstallation, make sure everything is thoroughly cleaned. Make sure the injector seats themselves are spotless and they are ready to receive a fresh copper washer on the end of a diesel fuel injector. So yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful. Anyway, hopefully you've all enjoyed it and maybe you've learned something. Give this video a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all in that next one.